Yeah, and Flyfish was obviously an NFT membership.
Yes.
And so it launched 2.5 years ago. So that was a whole different thing. So there's just like always like different models, different things. There's just so many variables in business. Like it's a, you know, again, I like thinking about business. Obviously we're filming this right after the election, and I love thinking about business the way that the elections work. As you know, because you're in the business. The next morning, even that night, everyone loves to analyze the why it happened.
Post-mortem.
The post-mortem. Oh, Latino males this and I always am fascinated by people on TV, pundits, people on social media. They get surprised.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, how are you surprised? The only thing history will tell you is it's constantly changing. Mm-hmm. Temperament changes, humans change. Some of us in this room have changed our own points of view as a human, let alone groups of people and things of that nature. So what I think I'm good at, and what I implore anyone who operates something, it's actually tremendous parenting advice, is if you are not prepared for things to change every day, it's over. It's over. It will not be good. You know, if you're a parent of 3 children and you parent all 3 of them in the exact same way, I promise you, one could be great with that, but the other 2 will fall, and you need to parent them individually based on the reality. Mm-hmm. And as a business, as an entrepreneur, as a brand. The Post was not doing video content 15 years ago. I don't know if you heard. Things change, and you have to adapt with that, and I love that. I'm built for that. There's a reason I was a bad student. I'm uncomfortable, incapable even, in structured things of yesterday that didn't work for me from K through 12, and it has been the foundation of my success since.
Yeah, interesting. Another kind of topical question I'm really curious to get your take on. Do you think traditional media institutions that we know have permanently lost their power?
Well, of course, but that happened.
What role did X play as well in the election?
I think X played the same role that Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok played. Mm-hmm. I think obviously because Elon owns it, there's a little bit more like it's been the punching bag or the champion, depending on what side you are. I think that, but this started with Obama's first campaign. Again, I have the luxury of watching it coast to coast from the beginning. I'm talking MySpace and Friendster. Don't worry about the door sound. They hear it in the back. They've heard door sounds before. You know, if you go back further, you know, the Obama campaign using Facebook is real life stuff. Like, it's a little bit lost in the annals of history, I think, but that was a massive driver to the amount of young turnout that happened.
Yeah.
And then obviously Trump's first election, I was screaming to anyone who would listen to me. I'm like, it's not what the TV's saying. Social has the answers. So what role did it play? First of all, the thing that is wildly misunderstood by human beings is social media pipes are empty. They're mirrors. Nobody wants to believe it. They want to believe that Zucks and Elon and others and China are sitting in some sort of Wizard of Oz room and they're like, I'm going to make you think this about this part of the world. Social media algorithms are written to feed you what you want. This is just what it is. And then they're like, oh, that's bad. How is that any different than you choosing what channel you're watching? Because I promise you on election night, from watching you to everything else, I watched all 19 things because I love watching production and strategy and all this. Like, there's very different things going on depending on how you see the world.
Yeah.
What role did it play? People's word of mouth makes people make different decisions. I love how everyone's like, told you, celebrities endorsements mean nothing, right? Because they talk about a J-Lo or a Taylor. What about the Joe Rogan and Elon endorsements in the other way? Did that mean nothing? People's opinions make us come up with opinions. Mm-hmm. I think Americans today are wildly non-accountable. And
what do you mean by that?
I mean that people actually think that they're not in control. I think we've given so much power.
They don't feel they have autonomy.
I don't think people think they're capable without somebody's help.
Huh.
I think there's a really deep underlying psychology that people are not tapping into, which is we're putting these people on pedestals, celebrities, politicians. When John F. K. says, forget about what your country's doing for you, what are you doing for your country? That was a really fascinating framework. We are on the complete other side now. Literally, 90% of Americans, 45 and 45 on the left and the right, are just like, please person, save me. We're in what I call loser shit. if you literally think that a governor or a president or your boss or your parents are the variable of your success and happiness, you've lost on impact. Of course there's great power, especially with the situation we're now in, when you have a president that has both branches of Congress. Like now, yes, of course there are things, and I'm not-
There are exogenous factors, but that doesn't, for the most part.
But there's exogenous factors that are bigger than politicians.
Yeah.
COVID, like weather, your spouse dying of a sudden heart attack, that's an impact on someone's life. Like terminal disease. Like we've gotten into this place where we've been suckered on and that's why I'm saying it the way I'm saying. I actually think they've done nothing different than they've been doing. I just think that we're living in so much prosperity for so long that we're softer and we don't realize our accountability. So nonetheless, people's word of mouth has always mattered. In 1988, I'll use 1992 because I like that one better. In 1992, some neighbor went to a barbecue and said, "Did you see Ross Perot's thing?" And they were planning on voting for Bush or Clinton, and they're like, that guy from, and then they watched his little special that night, and the guy co-signing Ross made them watch, and then they voted for Perot. Mm-hmm. Like, things happen. And now that's happening at scale because word of mouth is at scale on social media.
Yeah.
Right? Word of mouth used to happen at a barbecue, or at the gym, or something like that. Now it happens at scale on social.
Yeah.
And so word of mouth at scale changes people's opinions. That's how it's always worked. What used to happen before was word of mouth was fragmented and media was at scale. So when Walter Cronkite sat down and talked, 60% of the country really heard. Now social media has scale, which means that attention in social has taken away from media. And so now it's more even. And so now what you have is the collective masses and media outlets are more in a joint, it's disseminated among, that's much more parity. And that's where we find ourselves.
And social media is much more interactive too. So it's interesting because you mentioned in a way that you think the American populace is sort of abdicating responsibility.
That's what has happened.
But don't you think in a way that people feel that they have more control because they can look for their information on social media? Yes,
but I fully believe that a lot of people believe that. A lot of people also feel like we've lost control because of that. They don't want the merit of it. But I feel like when you really dig deep in, what's really happening is people are overvaluing figures in society right now in a way that we have not historically seen. It is, for example, if you just look at the human behavior, in 1962, I'm just gonna pick that year, the 26-year-old that's walking around America values their grandparents' opinion in a way that is unrecognizable today.
Yeah.
I think this will land for anyone, even the youngest in this group. 50 years ago, a grandfather's point of view in a home carried a lot of weight. We have become so infatuated with youth culture. Mm-hmm. We now make fun of our grandparents for not knowing how to use TikTok. We've become infatuated with looking younger, acting younger, and younger things matter. We're coming out of an era of hundreds of years of culture where the elder had the respect and now they have none. Well, when that elder had respect, that was someone you looked up to in a different way. With that void, we start to look into outside places.
Huh.
And so there's just a lot to it. Also, who was famous in 1962? Astronauts, pilots. Like, we were just in a different place culturally.
Yeah.
And so we're in an interesting time. I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
I just think it is.
Well, it's interesting that vacuum you talk about where people are looking for wisdom in new ways because they don't respect authority, or at least culturally that's not a value anymore. And I've noticed a lot of people who come to you, a lot of the videos you post, you're obviously a CEO, you're a creator, you do all these things, but it seems like so much of what people look to you for is wisdom and advice. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting for me because I think I'm a big believer that what happens in social is more real than people realize, meaning it's what I always gravitated to and it's what always was around my life. Like, I was in my 30s before I started making content, so I got a little bit fortunate in some ways. I do think a lot about, like, what if I was fully me, but just 15 years earlier, like, I would have had a different relationship. But by the